Welcome to everyone. Myself Surendra. I am from User Infotech. Today I am going to explain one very important concept and that much of interesting concept, that is constructors. Constructors. Now observe sir, everyone. Constructors are used to initialize the constructors are the special members of a class. Okay, no? Constructors are the special members of a class. Special members of a class. Constructors are the special members of a class. After that, why we are using these constructors? Constructors are used to initialize. Constructors are used to initialize the instance members. Initialize the instance members of a class. Instance members of a class. Here, initialization is nothing but providing the value. Instance members is nothing but non-static members. So constructors are used to providing the value for non-static members. Okay, na? Constructors are used to providing the value for non-static variables. So that's why here I am saying constructors are used to initialize the instance members of a class. After that, here the constructors we can call a constructor at the time of creating an object. At the creating an object, constructors we can call a constructor. We have to call a constructor at the time of creating an object. Here, each and every class in Java should have a constructor. Each and every class in Java should have a constructor. This point we will discuss now again. First of all, coming to the syntax of a constructor. Coming to the syntax of a constructor here, the constructor name should be same as a class name. So first of all, here I am writing class name parenthesis flower basis. This is the syntax of a constructor. If you want to declare any constructor, you have to follow few rules. That are the rules for constructor. Here, the rules for constructor. Rules for constructor is the class name should be same as constructor name. For example, here I am creating one class. My class name is demo. So here, if you want to create a constructor, definitely my constructor name also should be same as a class name. So this is my constructor. So here the point is class name should be same as constructor name. Okay, now class name should be same as constructor name. Then coming to that, after that, access modifiers. Whenever we are declaring the constructors, we can use any level of access modifiers. That may be public also we can use, private also we can use, protect also we can use, default also we can use. Okay, now so whenever we are declaring the constructors, we can declare any level of access modifiers. Then coming to that modifiers, we can't use static, final, abstract. Synchronized means we can use synchronized, but that also not recommended. Next, coming to that return type, constructor don't have any return type, not even void also. And now observe very clearly constructors. Here mainly we have two types of constructors. Here the first one is predefined constructor. And and the second one is user defined constructor. Predefined constructor and user defined constructor. Okay, now predefined constructor and user defined constructor. Coming to that predefined constructor, this predefined constructor is also known as default constructor. Predefined constructor is also known as default constructor. This is the very important for interview room. Definitely they will ask, what is the default constructor? Before I said one point, each and every class in Java should have a constructor. That is a default constructor. Default constructor is nothing but in one class, program is explicitly didn't add any constructor, compiler implicitly add one constructor. That is nothing but default constructor. Sir, when compiler will add the constructor, when compiler will add the constructor means in that program explicit like in that program, if programmer added compiler is not available, then immediately compiler will add one constructor, that is a default constructor or predefined constructor, or we can say implicit constructor. Here the important point is the compiler declared one constructor. The compiled declared constructor is nothing but default constructor. The default constructor is always non-parameterized constructor only. Okay, now default constructor is nothing but always non-parameterized constructor. Then coming to the user defined constructor, in that user defined constructor again classified into two types. The user defined constructor is again classified into two types. The first one is user defined non-parameterized constructor. User defined non-parameterized constructor. Next here I will go with second one, user defined parameterized constructor. Okay, now user defined non-parameterized constructor, user defined parameterized constructor. There are two types of constructor. Coming to that user defined parameterized constructor means, for example, here I am creating one class. My class name is, I'll take some sample. My class name is sample. In that class, now tell me, in this class any constructor is there? Yes sir, constructor is available. That is a default constructor. Who will add the default constructor? Compiler will add the default constructor. So here in this class, here explicitly I am a programmer, so I am adding that one constructor. So here I am adding the one constructor. So how to declare the constructor? Constructor name should be same as class name, sample. So like that here I declared one constructor. But in this constructor I am not passing any parameters. So this is a user defined non-parameterized constructor. So this is a user defined non-parameterized constructor. Okay, now then coming to the second one, user defined parameterized constructor. So in this program explicitly user declared one constructor, and here in this constructor I am adding one parameter. Now tell me sir, this is a user defined parameterized constructor. Now I have one doubt, I'll ask that also. Okay, now in this class, in this sample class, how many constructors is available? Only one constructor sir, that is a user defined parameterized constructor. Sir, what about default constructor? Whenever the user added one constructor, okay, now whenever user defined constructor is present in the class, compiler won't add default constructor. Okay, now when compiler will add the default constructor, user defined constructor is not present in the class, then compiler will add the constructor. That is a default constructor. Now this is the story about constructors. Now I'll show you, now we'll go with one very important concept. Okay, now that is a constructor overloading. That is a constructor overloading. Now observe sir, here constructor overloading. Here the constructor overloading is nothing but developing multiple constructors inside a class, same name but different parameters, is nothing but constructor overloading. Okay, now here I'll write constructor overloading is nothing but developing multiple constructors inside a class, same name but different argument list. Different argument list is known as constructor overloading. This, if you want to achieve the constructor loading, here we have to follow few rules. The rules for constructor overloading is it's like a length of the argument should be differ. Length of argument should be differ, and the position of argument should be differ. Length of argument should be differ, position of argument should be differ. Next, after that, type of argument should be differ. These are all the rules for constructor overloading. Now I'll write one program and I'll show you. For example, here I am creating a one class. Okay, now my class name is here. I'll go with my class name is my wish. My class name is wish. Now observe very clearly. Now observe very clearly here. What is the constructor overloading? Developing multiple constructors. So here I have to declare multiple constructors. So first of all, how to declare the constructor? Constructor name should be same as class name. So here I am declaring this is one constructor. Okay now. So here I am declaring one constructor. So now here again I am going to declare another one constructor wish. Now tell me sir, what I said? Developing multiple constructors inside the class. So inside class, here I am developing multiple constructors. Now tell me, this is a constructor overloading? No sir, not a constructor overloading. Why? Because here we have to follow the rule is different argument list. Here also same arguments, here also same argument is there. So this is a not a constructor overloading. So here we have to follow the rule. The rule is type of argument should be differ. Okay, now length of argument should be differ, position of argument should be differ, type of argument should be differ. For example, here I'll create another one a constructor. Here also I am passing int a. Now tell me, this is a constructor overloading? No sir. Why? Because here also length is 1, here also length is 1. So this is a not constructor overloading. So next after that type position of argument. First position int a is there, second position also integer is there. Next length of argument, here length also 1, here also length is a 1. So this is also not a constructor overloading. For example, then here I'll go with string a. But now this is a constructor overloading. Why? Because length same, but the type of argument is a different now. So that's why this is a constructor overloading. Now for example, here I'll write one statement: system.out.println non-parameterized constructor. Next here also I am writing system.out.println int type constructor. Now here I will go with again system.out.println string type constructor. Now here I will execute and I will show you. Execution starts from main method. So here I will go with public static void main string array of x. Next after that, when we can call a constructor, at the time of creating an object, we can call a constructor. So how to create an object here? Wish w is equal to new wish. Okay, now so now here this is the constructor. This is the constructor. Here I am calling non-parameterized constructor. Now my output is non-parameterized constructor. I want to call another one constructor. Then I have to create another one object. Wish w1, here I will take w2 is equal to new wish. Here I am calling this constructor now. So here I have to pass the value int a value. So now I'll get output int type constructor. Now I want to call this string type also. So here I'll go with wish w3 is equal to new wish. Here string is there, so I have to pass the name. For example, here I'll go with the Java. Like that we can call the constructor. Okay, now when we can call a constructor, sir? At the time of creating an object, we can call the constructor. Now I'll revise all the things what we have done. Constructors are the special members of a class. Constructors are used to initialize the instance members of a class. At the time of creating an object, constructor of the class is invoked. Next after that, each and every class in Java should have a constructor. Coming to that syntax, like coming to the constructor rules, constructor name should be same as a class name, and whenever we are declaring the constructors, we can use any level of access modifiers: public, private, protect, default. Next we'll go with, like we can declare any we can't declare static, final, abstract. Synchronized means we can declare, but that also not recommended. Coming to that return type, constructor don't have any return type, not even void also. Next coming to the types, there are two types of a constructor. First one is a predefined constructor, user defined constructor. Predefined constructor is nothing but that predefined constructor is also known as a default constructor, which is added by the compiler. When compiler will add the constructor, if user defined constructor is not present in the class, then compiler will add constructor that is a predefined or default or implicit constructor. The compiler added constructor is always, it is a non-parameterized constructor. Coming to that user defined, in that user defined again there are two types. Okay, now user defined non-parameterized, user defined parameterized. User defined non-parameterized means programmer has declared one constructor but not passing any parameters, then that is a user defined non-parameterized constructor. Coming to that user defined parameterized constructor, user has declared a one constructor by passing some arguments, then that is a user defined parameterized constructor. After that we went that constructor overloading. Constructor overloading is nothing but developing multiple constructors in a class. Developing multiple constructors in a class, same name but different argument list is nothing but constructor overloading. If you want to do that constructor overloading, we have to follow few rules. That is a like a length of the argument should be different, type of the argument should be different, position of the argument should be different. This is about constructor overloading. Next we'll go through that constructor chaining also. Okay, now next class we will discuss about constructor chaining.